nothing nice to say. It comes naturally, and no one close out. Shut one away, I keep it simple. It's just me.
Basically, it's kind of just a little play on words that everyone will use. A little, I don't know if it's considered a pun, but I think you learned it back in elementary school when they tell you. So basically, it's that very basic principle of like making sense of what you already know and moving forward and playing it forward to make things happen. And I believe in like karma, and so it's kind of like that, like you're not only connecting the dots to move forward, but also in your life and helping other people. So it's like, you know, giving back while helping other people, but also making sense of the connections you have to move forward. I feel like all my songs are very personal. Like I don't just write, you know, Deer Hunter or whatever. I'm not gonna be like, you know, big bucks, safari. Like obviously, you know, most singer-songwriters are capable of that, but the reason I write is more like a form of therapy. I write about things that surround me, things that affect me, whether it's political, friendships, love, heartbreak, pretty much everything under the sun, you know what I mean? Food. So, but this record was very personal because I wrote a bunch of songs like during the transition between the albums, and my first album, Apples and Oranges, was about the differences between moving from New York to California, Apple to Orange County, you know, and that iconology where Connect the Dots that was more like pop and happy because everything was so exciting, and even though it was like hard, and then Connect the Dots really captures all the struggle that I went through to get to this point. And you know, Hold On is a song I wrote about really just, there's many times where you're just like you feel so low and you lose hope because you could be working so hard on something you want to achieve and your dream, and you're just like, how do I get to that next point? And really you just need to, you know, connect the dots and work hard, and just even then you're not always guaranteed success. A lot of it is who you know and where you're located. And so I've been really fortunate for living in Orange County and getting the placements I've gotten, but I do network relentlessly, and I like to make friends because friends are the threads of life. So I've been very lucky there. But going down some other songs, Not Enough, is a combination of, it's a relationship, not only personal, but also business, like how sometimes you might not feel appreciated by the people you work for, and at the same time, the decisions you have to make in your life to get to the point you want to get, they're not all easy. And a lot of times people like to put me, my fans especially, like on a pedestal and be like, oh, she could, you know, they see the music video and be like, oh, well, she wouldn't break someone's heart. And it's like, I'm human. It's like I wouldn't ever intentionally hurt somebody, but have I made decisions that hurt me as well? Like, yes, because you know, when you truly love something, sometimes you need to let it go to grow. And those were things that like I had, you know, learned, and I've definitely, you know, come a long way on the maturity level. I was very like, I think everyone has a degree of like selfishness, and I'm pretty much the most giving person ever, but you know, when I was younger, I was very like, you know, learning about many different things. I was very naive, and so definitely got my heart broken. And I think you need to get your heart broken to truly appreciate love. You know, it's great if you never have to go through that, but I think when you do, it helps you realize what you have. And so those songs are from everything from friendships, high to how sometimes you cannot feel appreciated as a friend, and how sometimes you put so much energy into something, and it's not like you need to get back like in like gifts. Sometimes just quality time and like being acknowledged for going out of your way for someone, and then you get taken for granted. And so that song's kind of about that. And then, you know, relationships, then wanting to like be like, oh, I could just ding, go invisible, like I dream of Jeannie, you know. And so that was kind of that whole theme. And White Lies is, you know, about living in Southern California and how it can eat you alive, and that kind of goes with the whole relationship and just staying true. And Misery kind of goes with some of the experiences in music business have been really awesome, and I'm involved in a lot of it because I like to know people, I like to know what's going on. I'm not a person who can just sit back and things are going to happen. Like they're happening because I'm making them happen, or I'm working with people who are working for me to make it happen. I'm not a person that things come easy for me. You know, I've worked very hard for a long time, and like I said before, hard work doesn't always guarantee success and talent, because I see tons of talented people everywhere from the subway in New York City to playing out, you know, and a lot of it has to do with drive and ambition, but a lot of it also is getting to the right people. And so that's kind of why I moved to California, because I felt like if I had that New Yorker, you know, I'm gonna work hard attitude, like I can do well. And I haven't, you know, it's not like an instant success, and maybe it would have happened faster if I lived in Los Angeles, but when I moved to California, I moved on the credit card, and I did it all on my own, and I had to work very hard to pay that off and then finance my album, so it was like, you know, a lot of like struggles, a lot of low times, and Misery kind of captures that. So the album is just about so many different things and so many different emotions, and you have some joy, like, you know, like Touch and Go and White Lies is more upbeat. Don't Take What's Mine is about, you know, some deals that might have gone awry, but also making light of the situation, like, you know, but it's been a long, interesting road, and I'm so excited to see what the future holds, but I just wanted to make a really raw album. Is like, I feel like my last album, there was a lot of production, which was very fun, but with this record, I feel like the last record, you know, there's some people that are like, oh, well, that sounds auto-tuned, and did she write that? And it's like, yes, I wrote all the songs, but because there's production, there's always that question from the punk rockers, and, you know, I didn't want to lose my street cred, so I wanted to go back and like show people like, this is where I'm at in my life, I want to create this, and I don't think as an artist you should be forced to do like any one genre or like sound. I think I'm always going to be someone who's going to do what's best for the album and the music. So my longest best friend, I was playing a show in Washington DC where she lives, and she was in the audience, and you know, she really knew like what I'd gone through, and it was like not easy. Like, you know, when I moved out to California, all the things I gave up, starting over, not having anything, living on a floor in a closet. I almost lived in a storage facility. Like, I had this idea I could live in a storage facility and join a gym to shower, and that's how you have to think, because even though I lived in like Long Island and I had moved all the way to California, being from Buffalo and living in Vermont and all over, it's like California is a lot more expensive. Like in Long Island I had like a good deal, so it wasn't, you know, astronomical, but that whole, when you move with no money, you know, and you're really just trying to get out there, you kind of, you know, go through that whole thing. So anyways, there were many different struggles that I'd gone through, and she was aware of them. So when I was singing Hold On, it was like she knew everything I was talking about, and it was so personal, and I started crying, and I've never done this, and I was just like, I had to stop. There's like a video on it, like, that they posted. I'm like, oh, great. You know, like nothing like singing a song and breaking down in tears, you know, but I literally had to stop singing and just play guitar and wait to the end, because I was just like, it made me very emotional, you know, to rethink about all the things I had gone through, and it's a good thing. It's like, it's good to reflect on the past, because I wouldn't be in the present if I didn't go through that, you know. I call it character building. Some, you know, songs like Empty Bottles, that like, I don't really tell you what my song's about, whatever. It's funny, some people might be like, oh, like I have the song Recluse, and people are like, oh, that's about like a relationship and you're getting drunk. But it's actually about a recluse spider and a stalker that I was stalked by this guy I used to work with, and it's about when the recluse bites you, the symptoms. Like you actually, it's like, it takes 30 days to recover your speech slurs, and it's like all the stuff you go through, but they're thinking speech slurs, you must be drunk. But it's like, so it's funny what, you know, people might perceive and what the song might actually be about. And I think that's what's fun though with writing. It's like you can be as creative as you want and challenge people and to think, and some songs are like literal, and other songs are like, I don't want to share this with you. And I saw Fleetwood Mac, and I think one of the best things Stevie Nicks said is like, you know, we're just gonna sing our song, and whatever you want it to mean to you is like, that's exactly what it needs to mean, you know. And sometimes I feel like if I give away too much, then it's like someone might be like, oh, that doesn't, you know. Sometimes I'll learn what songs are about, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, wow, you just ruined that one for me. So, but yeah, it definitely, like, I've had people like write me things very like, the song really helped me. Like one of the craziest things, I had a fan write me about how she wanted to commit suicide and how my music video Hold On really helped her, and how she sees there's more in life. And I think that's like the best thing, because to save a life, like literally, you know, to find that she's like, I value my life now because I understand that this is normal. People like can go through these hard things and feel this way. And that was, I mean, I cried. cried, like, when I read that. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I wanted to, like, hug her, you know, because, like, life is so precious, and it's like, you know, just because your family might be in a situation, like, your family might treat you a certain way, or you might have bad friends and get bullied, all this cyberbullying at school or whatever, it's like, at the end of the day, like, you can leave that life behind once you're, you know, older or whatever, and start over, and it's like, it's just sad that, you know, we've all gone through something. Everyone has some kind of like pain, and yeah, music saves lives. When I was a senior in high school, I was diagnosed with idiopathic thromboid cytopenia, which is basically immunity disorder. It's a blood disorder, and they don't know what's wrong with you. And so my case was pretty extreme because I had played soccer, and I had like bruises all over my body after this tournament, and like bruises that were like the deep purple that you would know, like, and it looked like an egg was gonna hatch like out of my hip. So I went to the ER, and they said, you have 1,000 blood platelets, you need emergency blood platelet transfusion or you're going to die. And I'm 17, I feel like on top of the world, you know, just graduated high school, literally, but hadn't had the ceremony, and I was just like, I don't understand what is going on. And they actually had to admit me, even though I was 17, I was technically a child, you know, they admitted me because they're like, you have to do this, you're gonna die. And so I felt fine. I had an emergency blood platelet transfusion. They put me on high doses of prednisone, which is a steroid that basically, it helps your immune system, but it's a type of steroid. You also gain like a tremendous amount of water weight, and you get acne. So it was that was like the least of my worries. But I mean, being 17 and, you know, being so in shape and like training like to play soccer and college, and I basically trained all year to play in this team. It's called Germania. It's like a select team from Western New York, and you train all year indoor to go to Canada and go to North Carolina and Pennsylvania and go all over. And to have that taken from me, it was like hard enough, let alone dealing with, on top of it, I couldn't do anything because I was hemophiliac anemic, and I had to be put in the hospital, ICU for a week to see if the treatment would take. Because normal person has 100,000 to 300,000 blood platelets, and I had 1,000, and under 30,000 you're bleeding to death. So it was like a walking miracle to play 3 soccer games in a row. So it was just like a crazy time in my life, and when I got out of the hospital, I had to keep going back to get my blood taken. I had to stay at 30,000 platelets and above, and then I went back, and my body was like rejecting it, as it often does when you put something foreign into it. So long story short, I had a treatment similar to chemotherapy. It was a riboflavin like base, but it's not painful, and it was through the IV. And when I was sitting there with these beautiful people who are getting chemotherapy and just had bouts and bouts of these horrible cancers and leukemia, and I just sat there and I was like, how could I be so lucky to like only have this, you know? And even though that was a lot to handle, it's like, to me, I was just like, I am so lucky, you know? And I just knew, I knew in that moment, like, I want to do something about this. Like, I really, anything I can do to like help, you know, help this. Like, how do we cure cancer? So that's always been in the back of my mind, something I really need to get involved to like make a difference. Besides, you know, what can I do? I was 17 and basically a girl in a bubble for like the whole summer. I couldn't do anything, not even go swimming or on a boat. People would go like this. It's like, it was just, you know, I go to the grocery store with my mom, people thought she beat me. It was very hard. Not to mention I looked like a chipmunk. Entering your freshman year of college already with the freshman 40 doesn't really help your self-confidence either. So it was a really good, horrible but good experience, you know.